All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rachakadash, double honors to apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to the elect, which you ought to be. Now, Sharetta Hawaii from GMS Chicago. Got a quick little lesson for you Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and Israelites who bear the shame of looking like heathens, who spirit bear witness that they are a child of the Heavenly Father. In the name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh, who the world English calls Jehovah God. In the name of the Heavenly Son is Yahweh Shai, who the world English calls Jesus Christ, or Jesus Christos, or Yeshua, Yeshaya, Yahweh. And pretty much this lesson is going into concubines, which means a second wife or a side chick. You know what I'm saying? Concubines are wives, you know what I'm saying, who aren't Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Wives of the heathens, which will be secondary wives, uh, uh, and also going into harlots, you know what I'm saying, which will be known as prostitutes today, you know. I want to start off with Numbers chapter because you had this one guy and stuff. He was saying that dealing with prostitutes and dealing with white women or Edomite women and stuff was wrong and stuff. And it's like, no, this is not according to the scriptures. And he didn't bring out any scriptures to back it up. I got a couple, what I'm saying, just to prove that we can deal with the heathen women, what I'm saying, and also that men have dealt with harlots in the scriptures. This is Numbers chapter 12, verse 1. It says, and Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And pretty much an Ethiopian woman be a real African. Moses was a Levite, you know what I'm saying, and what ended up happening, Miriam got casted out and became a leprous she became a temporary Edomite, you know what I'm saying, for a week, and pretty much the Ethiopian woman, she'll be considered a Canaanite, which would be a real African, man, the real Africans, but Moses dealt with a heathen woman, this is and it's the first king, who spiritually is King David, This is 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. It says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, and them strange women are heathen women, meaning the East Indians. The Elamites are East Indians. The Moabites are Chinese. The Ammonites are Japanese. The Edomites are the Caucasians. The Ishmaelites are the Arabians. You know what I'm saying? The Ashurians is our Assyrians, and then the Hamites would be the Africans, It says together, so pretty much a strange woman would be a woman that's not an Israelite. It says, but King Solomon loved many strange women together with the daughter of Pharaoh. It says women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, which are the Zidonians and the Hittites are also Africans. It says, verse 2, it says, other nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come unto you, for surely they would turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. Verse 3, it says, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And when you go into that word concubine, it's palagash. It's the padaladaga and the shah palagash, and it's concubine paramour. And paramour is pretty much a woman that you just have sex with. It says and his wives turned away his heart. And people always try to say that when it came down to King Solomon, the Lord had pretty much judged him because he was dealing with the different women. And it's like, but that's not the case, because when you read further down, the reason why King Solomon got judged was because he started following the doctrines of those heathen women. You know what I'm saying? The Lord ain't judged him for dealing with heathen women, because all throughout the scriptures and stuff, we dealt with heathen women. This is 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 13. It says, and David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem, after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? We don't have to deal with Israelite women just to Israelite women, you know what I'm saying, of the 12 tribes, just to bring back the nation of Israel. You know what I'm saying? We could do it through heathen women. Why? Because according to Numbers 1 and 18, you are what your father is. You know what I'm saying? Because really what's going on is that we put our seed in you all. You know what I'm saying? You all having our baby. You know what I'm saying? Because it's actually the baby, the sperm cell and stuff that we shoot in y'all that actually grows up to be the baby. You all just nurture the baby. You know what I'm saying? Just like when it comes down to an apple tree. You know what I'm saying? If the seed, you take a seed from the apple, the seed that's within itself, just like a man, and you plant it in any type of dirt. You know what I'm saying? What does the dirt do? Give nutrients to that seed so it can grow up into a plant, you know what I'm saying, to bear more apples. So you can have the process all over again. Fruitful and multiply. It's the same way. The man carries the seed, you know what I'm saying, and you all hold it for 9 months. You know what I'm saying? And then the baby come out, so look, even King David had concubines, man, but the Lord ain't jack him up for having concubines though. You know what I'm saying? This is Genesis chapter 30, starting at verse 1. It says, and when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. It says, and Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in the Most High Yahweh's stead, who have withheld from thee the fruit of thy womb? You know what I'm saying? So pretty much she couldn't have no children. This was Rachel. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't the fact that she couldn't have children. The Lord just didn't allow her to have children at the time. Verse 3, it says, and she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may have children by her. And when you go into Bilhah, it says Balaha, the Bala, the Ha, and the Ha. It says Rachel's handmaid, whom she gave to Jacob as a concubine. Because she wasn't a Israelite. You know what I'm saying? She was a concubine, a second wife, man. And what she give Bilhah to Jacob for, to have sex with her. You know what I'm saying? It says go into her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. It says, and Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, the Most High have judged me, and have also heard my voice, and have given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. Verse 7. It says, and Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and bare Jacob a second son. So Jacob was smashing her again. You know what I'm saying? Jacob wasn't doing anything else, but smashing her. Verse 8, it says, and Rachel said, with great wrestling have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. Now, Naphtali is one of the 12 tribes. But Naphtali's mother, you know what I'm saying, was a heathen, But Naphtali was still a Israelite, you know what I'm saying, So we don't have to deal with the Israelite woman. We could deal with the heathen women, which they will be considered concubines. It says, verse 9, it says, and when Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. Now, Zilpah is the word Zalapah. It's a Zad, Pa, Naha. And it says, the Syrian given by Laban to Leah as a handmaid, a concubine of Jacob, mother of Asher and Gad. So Gad and Asher came from a heathen woman. You know what I'm saying? But yet Gad and Asher was still Israelites, right? It says, and the Lord ain't jack up Jacob for dealing with these heathen women. The Lord will jack us up for following the ways, the philosophies that these heathen women hold stays faithful to. You You know what I'm saying? It says like you got women out there, you got women that's into Buddhism. You know what I'm saying? But if you're an Israelite and stuff, and you trying to deal with a heathen woman that's into Buddhism, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what the Moabites deal with the Chinese. You know what I'm saying? Or yeah, I think it's the Chinese. And the thing is that if you dealt with that woman and she tried to give you, try to put her philosophies and try to get you to come this way and come that way because she getting that good. The thing is that that's when you'll start going off. You know what I'm saying? But dealing with a Moabite, you won't go off. That's not going off at all. It says, it says, it says, verse 9 again, it says, and when Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zipporah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. You know what I'm saying? And how you have a wife through sex. You know what I'm saying? A concubine will be a secondary wife, for, it says, verse 10, it says, and Zipporah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son, and Leah said, a troop cometh, and she called his name Gad, an Israelite. Why? Because Jacob was a Israelite. It says, and Zipporah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son. You know what I'm saying? And it's a second son. It says, and Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed, and she called his name Asher. You know what I'm saying? So you got Dan, you got Naphtali. You know what I'm saying? And you got Gad and Asher that came from heathen women, but yet was still Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Because you are what your father is. But the Lord did not jack Jacob up for dealing with these heathen women. This is Judges chapter 16 verse 1. Now this is going into dealing with harlots. This is Judges chapter 16 verse 1. It says, then went Samson to Gaza. It says, and saw there an harlot and went in unto her. You know what I'm saying? So he dealt with a harlot, man. And we go to that word harlot. It's the word nashayim. It's the nadasha, the ya, and the ma, nashayim. It says woman, wife, female. It says the second form in a irregular plural. So pretty much she that she became his wife. You know what I'm saying? Like he dealt with her on that level. You know what I'm saying? This is Genesis chapter 38 verse 2. It says, and Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he took her and went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name You know what I'm saying? So pretty much Judah, you know what I'm saying, which was the progenitor of the Judah, this is the first Judite, you know what I'm saying, who was one of the sons of Jacob, you know what I'm saying? He knew that he could deal with a concubine, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna skip down to verse 12. It says in process. Well, no, that was showing that you could deal with a Salakia. That was showing that you could deal with a heathen woman. This is Genesis 38 and 12. It says, in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up onto his sheep shears to Timnath, he and his friend Harah the Adulamite. It says, and it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. It says, and she put her widow's garments off from her and covered her with a veil and wrapped herself and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath, for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. She was plotting. It says, when Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. You know what I'm saying? So if it was a problem and stuff, you know what I'm saying? If it was a problem, Judah wasn't gonna deal with no harlot. You know what I'm saying? This was a prostitute that he saw in the open way and stuff. And what did he do? He went to go deal with her. You know, it says, for he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law, and she said, what wilt thou give me that thou mayest come in unto me? Verse 17, it says, and he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? So guess what's that sound like? It sound like he was paying her for sex. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that not what you do when it comes down to a prostitute? You know what I'm saying? You know, because back in the ancient day and stuff, if you was given a goat, hey, you had something that helped you out when it came down to the fields, man. You know, because goats can be used in farming, man. You know, so that sound like payment, like he paid for sex, and that's what he did. You know, because when it says come in onto you, it's talking about having sex. You know, this is Leviticus chapter 21 verse 13. Now this is talking about Aaron. You know, it's talking about Aaron and stuff, and the Lord was saying, since Aaron, which is a Levite as well, you know what I'm saying, second in command underneath Moses, you know what I'm saying, he was, the Lord was saying that since he's high regards and stuff, that he had to deal a certain way. This is verse 13. It says, and he shall take a wife in her virginity. So Aaron had to deal with a virgin. It says, a widow or a divorced woman or profane or an harlot, these shall he not take. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that the Lord was saying that he wasn't supposed to deal because he was such a high stature and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Amongst the people, you know. But what verse 14 shows is that you can deal with a harlot. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a number of the women that he should not take, because the woman that he was supposed to get was a virgin, meaning that she actually go to it. It's Bath Walla, is Bath Walla Yum, the Ba, the Tha, the Wa, the La, the Ya, the Ma, and it says virginity by implication of concretely tokens of it made a virgin. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much one who never had sex before. You know, it says where a hymen need to be broken. You know, so I read verse 14 again. It says, and a widow. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who only dealt with like one man for long, you know, for and then wasn't with that man for a long period of time. It says, or a divorced woman. You know what I'm saying? One that a man had signed the bill of divorce so she can go out without pay. It says, or profane, or in harlot. You know what I'm saying? A prostitute. These shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. You know what I'm saying? You know, but you know, then that's plain. That's plain. It's clearly saying that you can deal with a harlot, but Aaron wasn't supposed to at that time. He wasn't supposed to and stuff because the Lord wanted him to deal with a virgin. This is Judges chapter 11, starting at verse 1. It says, now Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty man of valor, and he was the son of a harlot. It says, and Gilead begat Jephthah. It says, and Gilead's wife bare him sons, and his wife's sons grew up, and they thrust out Jephthah and said unto him, thou shalt not inherit in our father's house, for thou art the son of a strange woman. You know what I'm saying? You know, so hey, she was a harlot and a heathen, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you know, so hey, you can deal with the heathens. You know what I'm saying? You know, they would be considered strange women. You can deal with Edomite women. You know what I'm saying? You can deal outside the tribes when it come down to women, as long as she don't have no husband. You know what I'm saying? No boyfriend. You know. Look at King David's grandmother. She was a Moabite. You know what I'm saying? So-called Chinese. You know. This is Proverbs chapter 29 verse 3. It says, whoso loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots spendeth his substance. And that's talking about your money, man. If you always, because the scriptures talk about how you got to be in balance. If you always dealing with harlots and stuff, then guess what? You gonna find yourself broke, you know, because you ain't gonna have no money, you know. So you got to do it within the balance and stuff. If you still want some money left over and stuff, then guess what? You're gonna have to budget for that pleasure. You know. This is Hosea chapter 3, starting at verse 2. It says, so I'll start at verse 1. It says, then said the Lord Yahweh unto me, go yet love a woman beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress. It says, according to the love of the Lord toward the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love flagons of wine. It says, verse 2, it says, so I bought her to be so I bought her to me for 15 pieces of silver. So he just bought him a woman. Hosea bought him a woman. It says, and for a homer of barley and a half homer of barley. You know what I'm saying? It says this is a business transaction. You know what I'm saying? It says, verse 3, it says, and I said unto her, thou shalt abide for me many days. Thou shalt not play the harlot, and thou shalt not be for another man, so will I also be for thee. You know what I'm saying? And the Lord had told Hosea and stuff that he to get a harlot to wife. You know what I'm saying? You know? So hey, guess what? The Lord allowed this, man. You know? Hey, it's the same way when you get paid prostitutes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They get charged by the money. What they call them, escorts. You know what I'm saying? I think it's free. I think it's free down there in Amsterdam, you know, or you probably have to pay whatever and stuff. But there's certain places, because pretty much when it comes down to the scriptures and stuff, you can deal with a harlot. You can deal with a prostitute. You know what I'm saying? You know, it was allowed. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to the scriptures, you know. And then think about it like this. You got the other hoes, you know what I'm saying? You know, all you got to do is have that bag, you know, and what our women do, what they you know, you bring the weed over and they want to smoke and stuff, and then next, you know, they want to do something afterwards. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way. Just get me high, you know, even though it's wicked the way that they do it and stuff, but at the same time, that's what it is, you know. This is my last scripture. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7. It says, who goeth... no, it wasn't this. So, yeah. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 9. Okay. It says... verse 8, it says, I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. It says, but if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. Now when it goes into the burn and stuff, it's talking about severe urge. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? If you have a lust, you know what I'm saying? I mean, no, not a lust, but if you got a strong sexual desire and you want to go deal and stuff, you know what I'm saying, then go get you a woman. You know what I'm saying? You can either, you know, go out and about, run into one of these women, you know what I'm saying, if you want to, you know, and talk with them and get something started, and you could talk with them and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Or you could have got a prostitute, man, you know. You know, hey, you can go out there and get you a prostitute, man. You know, and this was happening in the ancient days, man. You know, it's not unlawful. You know what I'm saying, to deal with a concubine or an escort. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I hope this video was edifying, and I'd like to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rachakodash, double honors to apostles of great millstone, and salutations to your elect, which we hope to be. Shalom and Abba Papal.